endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive.
Awesome. So thank you so much for coming to our show, Nomads 50 Plus, where we talk about what it's like to be a digital nomad in, over 50. So my name is Chris Kalabukas, and I'm coming at you from Silicon Valley, California, which is still dark because of the time change.
And I am Mary Bartnikowski, and I'm reporting to you from Sicily. That's right, in Italy. And if you want to be location independent and escape the USA, you should join my newsletter because I can give you some really good tips. So,
Oh yeah, it's very
yeah.
good. I read it all the time. It's awesome.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad you do. Yeah, people are joining. It's wonderful. And if you're a paid subscriber, which is a very low cost, you get a free one-on-one with me. So
nice. And you are a font of knowledge, a literal font. You know everything.
Right? If you want to choose a country, I can help you do it.
See, what we're doing here is just the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
The iceberg of information.
And we promise it's not like the Titanic.
No, you will not be. You will not be going up against the iceberg of information.
Things will be going very well. We promise.
Right. That's right. So you wanted to talk about making friends when you're traveling, because that is an issue.
Yeah.
With people. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, if you're traveling by yourself and you're working by yourself, how are you going to meet people? Okay, so a lot of the trips I've been on I've isolated myself, but not this one. Mm-hmm. So I've got direct experience, and I'm really excited to share it because I think it will help people to. You can travel by yourself and still meet people. I made a brand new friend this week.
Oh, nice.
She's from Ireland. Yeah. She lives in Ireland, but she was escaping her dreary winter. So she's here for 3 months.
Wow.
By herself. She's not she's my age, she's dating, she's hanging out with people. I think she's great.
Nice.
And how did we connect? It was at an expat thing. I went the very first day I got here. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Here's the tip that I really have never said before. I asked myself...
a secret first time ever tip. I cannot wait to hear it.
This is the first time I've ever shared this, but what happened was I had a couple glasses of Prosecco. Prosecco, and that's one glass too many for me. And so, I was like, all right, you should go home and go to bed. You traveled all day. Anyway, when I woke up in the morning, I said, now who there do I really want to connect with? Who's the one person? And it was Paula.
So you met a bunch of people at this thing.
I met like 12 people and had a lot of conversations with people.
Nice.
And so it was interesting because this group was a much younger group than the one in Syracuse. Mm-hmm. And so it was a totally different vibe. And that's why I say that you really have to go to these different places because you might not gel with the vibe.
Yes. But did you feel uncomfortable because the age range was different?
No, I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. I just felt like it just was such a different flavor than the one in Syracuse that I still talked to everybody. I made it a point because I wanted to talk to every single person there, so I did. And we had, different kinds of conversations. However, the difference between the two groups was there's a lot more things going on in Syracuse for events, like for meeting up and having book readings. And, I met another great person at the book reading. So, I was meeting people every event that I was going to. Oh, and they have a conversation meetup, which is very casual. It's not we pay you, it's just we're talking and having coffee in a fancy place. I mean,
Wow.
and then they have so yeah, I mean, and I
So
really learned
these
some words.
so these are all expat meetups, or are they just meetups
They're
for
all expat meetups, but the thing is, you want to feel like the place that you pick that you can get along with expats there and also with the people that actually live there.
mm,
So
so,
the owners of the apartment maybe or the people that really live here full time and they're Sicilian.
so did you find
What?
this on Meetup, or how did you find out about these meetups?
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. It's a Facebook. There's so many Facebook expat groups now. So you just go into those and see, oh, how does this sound? And so the one here didn't really have events.
Mm,
And so what I noticed at this one was that it was more couples and it seemed like longer term people that had stayed here and younger.
hmm.
But they were all, very social and everybody wanted to talk to me. But you also have to be open to the idea that because you're not staying a long time like them, being full-time residents, they might, maybe they don't, there's always the possibility that, you know, you might not be friends just based on the fact that you're not staying as long, you're just staying a month or two or, and that's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, during the course of the conversation, obviously you'll have a nice conversation, but you might not continue the relationship past. Or are people really
Right.
more people? So I guess the question I have here is that, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like when you're going into any of these meetups where you're trying to
Hmm.
connect with people, would you say
Hmm.
that it's easier to do it there than it would be here?
That's a really good question. I think it is easier here based on the fact that southern Italy is really friendly. So the people that live here are really friendly. Now, I did notice a little bit of a difference between here and Syracuse, where, like, I mean, people just say hello even though they don't know you. And I
Right.
thought that's what they did here, but I've actually said hello a lot and not gotten a hello back. And
Uh-oh.
that's kind of
It's more
surprising to me.
more like America.
It's more like America. I know that's exactly true. So, I'm not offended, of course, because I'm used to that. But so that's what I'm saying. You want to feel like you're in a place where there's a level of friendliness that feels right for you in terms of expats and also longtime residents. And so I went to all of these groups in Syracuse that I was very comfortable with meeting new people and they were nice to me. And then the Sicilians that I did know, I think if I stayed there longer, I would actually start being friends with the few Sicilians, like the owner of my apartment, these people that had a restaurant down the street that I just love. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah. I think people have to understand that you can't just become friends with somebody like that with a single meeting. You've got to go over and over and over again and see the same people over and over again. It's the same everywhere around the world. So you go to a meetup, you go once, and you
Yeah.
think, I never met any friends there. And let's think, what? No, just going to a meetup once, you're not going to necessarily gel with everybody immediately. There's some people who take a little bit longer to gel. So it's just pick the meetup and then just keep going over and over again, and then eventually, you'll become friends with people. And I think that applies anywhere you are in the world.
I think that's a really good point. You have to keep going to these things. And I actually had not, besides my volunteer projects, I actually hadn't done that in as as routinely as I did it just recently, where I would go every week to something.
Yeah,
And and there is a really big difference because then you see these people that already have met you, and then you meet new people because they didn't go to the other one.
yeah,
And it was really fun.
yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed it a lot.
Would you find that it's easy to just allow people? So it's like my biggest issue when I was more of an introvert was I having trouble talking to people, like being the one making the initial conversation. So I would go to these meetups, and
Okay.
everybody else was a gregarious. So I didn't have to worry about being gregarious. They were
Yeah.
gregarious to me. So they would come up and talk to me, and then the conversation would start. And
Yeah.
would you say that that's more likely to happen when you're abroad than it is when you're in the States?
That's such a good perspective. Yeah, I actually feel, and I think every country is really different.
For sure.
And so that's the other reason about being somewhere and feeling like, okay, does this gel with me? But yes, I do feel like you don't have to be extroverted to go
Mm,
to these things at all. I mean, I felt like it was pretty even as to who was starting conversations and who was just waiting for someone to approach. So, like, I actually did see someone that I thought looked interesting across the room in Syracuse, and I just went and stood next to the conversation and waited
that is how you do
until,
it, right? You gotta
well,
you kind
it
of
was
stand close and
a little longer than,
kind of
but
step in slowly.
it was okay because we did have a conversation and she turned out to be wonderful. She had a cooking school. Her English was perfect, even though she was Italian. I could hardly even hear her accent.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm glad that I let my intuition guide me over to her because I don't think she would have come over to me, but that's okay. Just
And
let yourself kind of be open to whoever comes up to you, or if you see somebody interesting, just go over and wait for the conversation to open. Yeah, I
yeah,
really do feel like it's more open here.
yeah, because I think that was the biggest problem I had was especially elsewhere. I think Americans are actually more open than maybe some other countries. I know in Canada it was a little more difficult, but when I got here,
Mm.
it's kind of like all you have to do is stand in the corner with a drink in your hand, white knuckle it, and people will come up to you and say, "Oh, that person looks interesting." I'll take because I mean, you can work on your own gregariousness, like stepping up and talking to people. But
Hmm.
if you just get to the point where you can get yourself to the event, like once you get yourself to the event, there's usually enough other people who want to talk to you and start that part of the conversation, then that will allow you to, you know, kind of break the ice and make you feel better about talking to other people as well.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love that too because you can completely forget that point that you just made and think it's all about you initiating conversations. No, it's not. People will come up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a new face. Okay, who's that person? I mean, you and I met at a meetup kind of at that Rise group that I'm sure isn't anymore.
Oh, they're still around, but they don't do
Oh,
meetups in person anymore.
oh, that's interesting. Okay. I mean, look, and we're still friends 20 years later. I
It's
mean,
insane. I cannot believe it.
it's insane. It's really insane. So you don't know what can happen. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm still friends with a woman. In fact, she came down from Florence. She's Italian.
Hmm.
And we had like 3 days exploring Sicily together because she loves Sicily.
Yeah.
She's a history. I found out she's been to more countries than me because she'll go for a very short time,
What?
but
You
she
guys are in
thinks
competition.
nothing. Well, I'd known her for years, and she's like, I'm like, how many countries have you been to? And she's like, I think 50 something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only been to 34 because she'll go to Nepal for 5 days.
Right.
Like, I won't do that. I'm going to go for a month or 3 weeks. And
You're
I've
more
been to Nepal
quality over
6 times.
quantity. You're more quality over quantity, right?
Yeah, and finally we decide. I'm like, look, I know you have less time because she's teaching middle school
Hmm.
kids history. I mean, she's got a really big life and she only has a certain amount of time off. So,
Yeah.
okay, but she's
Yeah.
not wasting any time. She's going out there and traveling
I think
everywhere.
being a teacher is like the best profession to have if you want to travel because you have all this time when you're in the middle of the year when you're off, you can go do stuff. I mean, I have a cousin who he's the barefooter. I don't know if I told you about him, but he's a barefooter. He goes barefoot everywhere, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
during during breaks, he travels to all over the place, and he has a travel blog. I'm not sure if
Great.
he's still updating it, but he's been to Nepal, he's been to the Himalayas, he's like, oh, I want to spend some time as a monk in some, and I'm like, and everywhere he's gone, he's been barefoot. And I'm like, wow, you are like that is even crazier than me.
I'm shocked because after being in India, there's a lot of trash.
Yeah, there's a lot of places you do not want to be barefoot. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been
that's a
all
bridge
through
too
the
far for
Himalayas.
me.
Yeah, I mean, God love them.
So your advice, I think this is the same advice that everybody would have when meeting people is just go. Make sure you go.
Just go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you have a short period of time in that country, plan it out ahead of time, right? If you go to Facebook
Yeah.
groups and meetups and places
Yeah.
like you will see, expat meetups on this date at this time, and maybe it's the day you got in or a couple days later. But I think you have to plan it ahead for these things because a lot of times you have no idea. Like, I mean, you could luck out and go, "Whoa, there just happens to be a meetup down the street during the time that I'm here." But it's probably a good idea to
Hmm.
plan ahead.
Well, I kind of pushed it into execution, I think, because I was like, hey, is there a meetup? Because I'd love to meet people. I'm just there for a month. And then you can sort of massage things like that to let other people know, hey, there is going to be. And I wouldn't have met Paula. She's on my street. We live on the same street, but
Nice.
I've never run into her. I mean, it's like, this is crazy that there's no way. I mean, there is a way we would have met, but the fact that we were sitting next to each other with, each drinking a glass of wine. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so
You're
easy to talk
kindred
to people
spirits.
when, yeah,
Was was it
yeah,
after the
I'm
first
really,
glass, between the first glass and the second glass of prosecco that it
it
happened,
would,
or
no, it was even before the first
oh my God,
class.
gonna be a true friend for
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, there was no alcohol influence at all. She just showed up right after I did, and
So
she's
so
really
what?
interesting.
Let's talk about topics of conversation, right? So I mean,
Okay.
I know in the States, it's all about your job. Like, what do you do for a living?
Oh
What do you
my
do for a living? That's the
gosh.
first thing you always start off with. But when you're not in America, what do you do? Like, how do you start the conversation? Is it the
Okay.
weather? I mean, what would be a
I'm
good
so glad you brought that up because you know what? I have not been asked what I do in 2 months
nice?
in neither Italy
You can
or
almost
France.
forget
No
that you do
one,
it.
I really, I have to I mean, honestly, people just don't talk about business. So, okay, so it's been more like, how long are you here? Have you ever been here before? Do you know Italian? How did you end up here? Oh, are you living here? I mean, that kind of thing. So it's more
Mm,
like it's a little more personal to begin with.
mm.
So actually, no one has asked me what I do, not one person.
That's
And
it
I've
just feels
probably
so
met
weird.
like, but it doesn't after a while because no one else is talking about it. And in fact, um, I did at this meeting say, kind of bring it up because someone there was talking about needing photography, but it changed. It changed it in a way that it would have been fine if I didn't bring it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it started down the path of,
Well,
and
it,
actually, I didn't even want to go there.
see, that's the funny thing because it's kind of like I think in our minds it sort of switches to almost like a sales conversation because like, oh,
Yes,
you need something that I'm doing. So the immediate thought in
right.
your head, because we're all entrepreneurs and then we all have to make some money, is oh
Yes,
how can I steer this towards a sales conversation? But you don't want to do that. You don't want to pitch your stuff to people. I mean, unless you want to do it very gently, or they're the ones who are asking you, etc. So I mean, we've got this sort of sales mindset in the States where we just like as soon as they start talking about something that we do, it's like, oh, how can I, especially if you're a digital
yes.
nomad and you're looking for business, that's the other side of the coin. But
And
it kind
I
of taints
actually,
the conversation a little bit.
it did. So I'm admitting to you that it did, and I wish I hadn't brought it up
Oh
because then it
no.
completely went down to, when you get in conversations, I don't know if this happens to you, but with photography, I mean, I've been doing this 39 years. I'm an expert. I know how to get the pictures fast. They're going to be great. And I get paid well. But as soon as you bring it up in a place that isn't like that, or people assume that you're suggesting it because you're going to do it for free. I mean,
Mm,
I mean, even after all these decades, I guess sometimes people think it's just some hobby of mine, and it's not.
yeah.
So that's why I wish I kind of hadn't brought it up because then it guides you into this, make a sale thing. And it's like, I
Yeah.
don't even want to actually do it.
Yeah. Well, the problem with photography is one of those things that's become so accessible to everybody is that people have lost a sense of value for it because they figure, well, I'm a photographer. I have my phone. I can take a picture. So, I mean,
Yeah.
no, there's a like a giant difference between somebody who just takes pictures on their phone and a professional photographer. But
Oh
that
my
that
God.
that
There's a huge
people
difference.
have forgotten that gap because it's just become so accessible. It's like, oh, I can do videos or I can do this or I can do that. It's like, yes, you have the ability to, but can you
But
create
can
do
you?
do a professional job of anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I
And
think that's for that particular profession, it's just like that. I mean, there's others that are further. Like if I
yeah.
said I was a doctor, like, oh, okay, you're a doctor. I can't, I'm not a doctor. I may know how to, do some first aid, but I'm not a doctor. So there's a gap that people don't want to leap. But with that kind of with your profession, it's like it's a gap that people feel that they can leap. And
Yes.
it's tough to continue that conversation in that way,
Well,
right?
sometimes I like to say, would you ask a doctor for a discount on your surgery?
I would.
I probably would too.
Depends on the
But
country. If I was in Greece, I'd probably go, can you do
yeah,
something about
I would too.
thousand
Absolutely. But
euro, maybe like 950, 900? Can you?
hey, I negotiate a lot for things, so I can totally understand it. But I mean, it's like you're right. Anything that's regarded as, oh no, you can't ask for anything less. It's like, well, I'd rather not do it if I have to do this song and dance. I mean,
And as an
it's
artist,
just,
everyone expects you to do your work for free for some reason. Don't ask me why. It's
it's so crazy.
something about art that
Yeah,
people think you can just, spit it out in 3 seconds, and it's like, and I won't pay you a penny for it, or just like like minimal payment. It's so bizarre because art is one of those things that uplifts you so much. You get so much value out of art,
so
yet
much.
people are not willing to pay for art.
Yeah,
Like music,
yeah,
photography, all of these things. It's mind-blowing that there's such a disconnect between, I mean, they're willing to pay for stuff like not art, but art is the thing that uplifts our soul more than anything. It's crazy.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing about like photography, for example, if you're taking pictures for someone that they're going to use those pictures to make money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a lot of times that's, what I've done. And so they're actually going to make money on the products that you are producing.
Yeah. And then they
So
expect
how
you
could they not
not to pay you.
understand that you gotta be paid?
Wait, can I
I
use that
mean,
picture that you just spent hours taking for
yeah,
free
yeah,
and do my own
for
thing with it?
free. And I actually, spent $10,000 to go to some country in Asia and do
Yeah.
all these pictures. But yeah, you can have it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so funny to me that people just don't understand that part. But
Yeah.
anyway, so it kind of went down that way. And so then I was just like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't
Yeah.
even have brought it up. So then I realized a good thing about that, though, was that, okay, this is a different culture. And
Mm,
I really do want to keep the business thing separate.
right.
And and I don't think I'll do that again
Mm.
in a public setting.
You mean mention mention that
Yeah.
you are. Although I mean, for a typical digital nomad, maybe not for you, but for typical digital nomads, maybe they are looking for work at the same time. So maybe this would be an opening. I mean, obviously it changes the conversation. So maybe the way to do it is that you have a goal before you even go of what you're trying to get out of it, right?
Okay, that's
Because
good.
if you think about it, if you were going to socialize and make new friends, or if you were going to try and pitch your business, because if you're a graphic designer and you need work,
Yeah.
maybe you were hoping to get some work from somebody local, but it's a completely different type of conversation.
Well, it is, and I think that's a really good point because sometimes I think I scramble those two. Like, for example, I actually put a notice about teaching photography in Syracuse on
Yeah.
the expat page because I thought, oh, that'd be fun, and would give a much lower price and everything. Nobody commented on it,
Mm,
and I thought,
bad,
wow, okay,
bad. You're not
that's
supposed to do that.
interesting. I didn't mention money or anything, but I think I don't know if I mean it sounded pretty engaging to me, but
Oh,
I thought,
give it away for
huh.
free, and people will.
But see, I didn't want to give it away for free, so
No, of course not.
maybe I didn't I don't know. It was interesting because I've never posted something like that on an expat page, and I thought, well, this is an experiment,
Yeah.
to see because a lot of people do like taking pictures, and the pictures I've seen on some of the
What's really
pages
funny
are
is that
not very good.
everybody in that group needs to make money, but everybody in that group also doesn't want to talk about making money. So that they their 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 conversations have to dance around it, right?
That's a good point.
you can't be overt about needing to pitch your services, but
Mm,
you can do it on the sly, right? Because if you do anything too overt, then the moderators will come in and say, no pitching, no this, no that. But
right,
the thing that I
right.
find hilarious is that because the whole point of it is that you do need everyone in that group. If you are a true digital nomad, you probably still have a job. You're not a retiree. You're not just traveling for fun. You're working at the
Yeah,
same time as you're traveling. So yes, you do need most of the time you probably will need more to build business. And
right.
why not share with other people? And they just have these rules on don't pitch, don't pitch, but everybody kind of needs to pitch. So I don't know what the best solution is.
I don't either. In
Yeah,
fact, it was just an experiment. And, for this particular group, I think most of them aren't working. So they do have discretionary income.
right.
And, a lot of people are just having fun and, you know, they planned financially to not have to work the last 30 years of their life. I mean, wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
nice.
Um, yeah, that's great. But
Not there
in
yet.
terms of not there yet. So I'm still finding my way with that. And so, which, makes the location independent thing where you're like, I started getting paid subscribers for my newsletter, and I was really super excited because
Nice.
that means, I can keep going with that. And that's a whole new avenue for me to try.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need
And
to go
then,
down that path. We haven't talked about how you make money yet, but we definitely need to
okay,
do a few shows on that. But
okay,
let's
great.
swing back to the original
To
thing.
the
So
friends. Okay.
so what do you say to people who are like, well, why would I want to make friends here? I'm only going to be here for a little while anyway.
Oh, I don't think, honestly, to me, if you regard traveling like that, I think you're kind of missing a big, important piece of it because I didn't really understand either until I did that first trip in Nepal where I was doing the volunteer work.
Hmm.
Because I met amazing people who lived there, and that just made my experience in Kathmandu 1,000 times better. And, I was going to visit my son who was also volunteering, and I thought, well, I'll volunteer too. That was never a thing that I thought I ever wanted to do, but when I did it, I met such great people. So I think if you think, oh, I don't need to meet people, you're sort of taking the best part out of going and traveling,
Mm.
out of traveling, because you get a completely different perspective if you know some people there.
Yeah,
And
because
you
I have
might end up being lifelong friends.
yeah, because so you kind of have to want to get to know people when you do this, right? Because I mean, I know a guy personally who is like, oh, I love going to all these different places and I love experiencing different things, but I don't necessarily like the people. I'm like, really? It's
That's
like I
funny
want to
to
see the
me.
Great Wall of China, but I don't want to meet anyone. I want to go to the, St. Pete's Mark's Cathedral, but I don't want to actually talk to anybody or whatever. It's like he's interested in seeing the places, but not actually meeting the people, which I thought was really kind of bizarre, but
It's bizarre to me too, because my best experiences have been because I knew the people. And if you don't gel with the people, like say he tried talking to somebody and it didn't work or something, I mean, maybe that country isn't for you because that level of socializing kind of doesn't mix with
yeah.
you. I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, because I mean, I think we talked before about how it's kind of like it's sort of a weird coin because on the one hand, do have to spend a lot of time on your own, and on the
Hmm.
other hand, you get enjoyment out of spending time with other people. So it's kind of like it works for both extroverts and introverts, right?
Yes, it
So
absolutely does. And that's why you don't have to be either one or the other. In fact, I consider myself both. There are times like today, I went on this long hike and I thought, I could do it with someone else, but I really wanted to have some time to myself.
yeah,
And and I liked it. And I just needed that for myself. But I've had a lot more socializing on this trip than the last one
yeah,
to Italy. And you don't have to be a certain kind of person, but I would say that I don't think travel is for everyone. I mean, sometimes, now that I have this newsletter and I do have free subscribers, and then there's other people that kind of think about traveling, but they don't actually really want to do it
yeah. It's
because they have dogs and
the whole aspirational thing. I mean, that's the thing with that, which happens with everything, right? It's kind of like
right.
you've got your cadre of people who actually do the thing. And then you've got your
Mm-hmm. Okay.
much larger cadre of people who aspire to do the thing, right? So it's like being an armchair quarterback, right? You're like you want to be part of it and you feel like you want to be part of it, but you don't make that leap. And it's unfortunate because you get so much out of the travel that maybe hopefully one day some of the people in the aspirational group actually do make the leap over that barrier and actually do some travel, even if it's a little bit, right? Because you get so much out of it.
Oh yeah. And I love to I mean, look, if you're getting that's why I think it's so great that it's 50 plus because it's like, don't give up and say you're too old to do these exciting things.
Do
I
people
mean,
actually say that?
there's
Do people actually say, "Oh, I'm too old to do that"? I think people do, right? There
I
are some people.
actually heard that today
No.
from a person. She said at my age, and
Oh
she's
boy.
younger than me.
Those
She's
those
younger than me.
those are like the worst three words.
At
At
my
my
age. And I,
age.
I, I really thought about that a lot on my hike to the beach because I thought, wow, that's a concept that people are telling themselves at my age. And, to bring it back to the friend thing, I didn't feel like because most of the people were younger that had anything really to do with anything. I mean, they all were working and, they were bright and shiny and fun to talk to. I mean, so, and I didn't feel like they were being ageist or anything like that. See, I
Yeah.
think it's good to put yourself in those kind of situations to see how things go just to prove to yourself that it really doesn't matter about age. I mean, like my friend in Florence, she's 50
Hmm.
and I'm 68, and we get along like peanut butter and jelly. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't have
No,
anything
the
to do
age,
with our
you're right. I
age.
mean, the age thing doesn't really matter. It's the interests, right? If you're interested in the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, then it doesn't really matter how old you are. And if you do, you may have people who are younger and say, "Oh, I don't want to hang out with grandpa or whatever." But
Sure.
there's too many. There's also lots of others who don't care, right? It doesn't matter. You guys are interested in the same thing. I want to meet people. You gel on that thing. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I think it's kind of sad for people who cut themselves off when they say things like, at my age, I don't do that anymore. It's like, why not?
Right.
There's no reason why you can't do it.
Well, but see, this is what I saw in that response. It was like, this is my reason for not doing it, even though she had asked a bunch of
Oh,
questions about
so it was an
Sicily. And I
excuse.
thought,
So it was kind
and
of an
so
excuse.
it kind of is. And when I see that, it's sort of like, well, maybe you really don't want to do it, but I kind of feel like it's an excuse because
Yeah.
your life could be so, much bigger and you could have these amazing experiences. So, um, I guess sometimes you just have to just leave that alone and just say, well, I guess travel isn't for everyone. But I always forget that there's the bigger group of aspirational people, but that a lot of them really actually don't want to do it anyway. It's just sort of an armchair traveling kind of thing. It's like, like it was this one specific topic of how good the tomatoes are here. Well, they're the best in the world. Like I'd go on a trip to
I would
have
travel for
something.
tomatoes. Hell yeah.
Yeah. These tomatoes are exceptionally sweet. There's all these different kinds. And so I've been posting pictures of my food that I make myself. It's not even in
I know. They're
restaurants.
beautiful pictures, by the way.
Thank you.
Have you thought
Thank you.
about getting into photography by any chance?
Food photography. Hey.
There you go. I love food photography. Actually, it's interesting you say that because there was
Ah,
for our wedding when I got married, our
oh,
last wedding in Canada, we actually picked a food photographer to do our wedding, and he did an amazing job. It's
I bet he
incredible.
did. Listen, you've got to be very. I actually started doing more food photography because of the weddings, because the displays of the food were
Oh
just
yeah,
out of this world. They were so beautiful, and I was like, so I'd get so involved in it, I'd
yeah,
almost forget I got to photograph people. I
yeah,
mean, it's so pretty.
yeah. But you can actually tell he was a food photographer because all the food pictures were amazing. We're like we're
I
like
bet.
next level up. Our pictures were great. I won't say anything negative about that. They were great, but the food pictures were like one level up. It was funny.
Oh,
He was in his
so.
element.
Oh, that's great. I think that's wonderful. You chose him. I got to see those pictures.
I'll send you a link. It was great. But
Good.
so
I
do
want to
we
see it.
so do you have any other advice on making friends? So you've got this, sorry, what was her name? The Irish girl who you're
Paula.
Paula. So do you have plans to see her again, or did you
Yeah.
did you did you
Oh yeah.
call her up afterwards,
Yeah,
or
we already did.
and she
She
didn't
it
say,
was
who
so
is this weird person? Wait, I don't remember
no,
meeting you.
no, no. It was the greatest thing. I was like, right after I said to myself, now who at that party would I really want to see again? I was trying to find her contact, but I couldn't find it.
No,
And
no.
then the same day she wrote me a message on WhatsApp saying
Wow. See,
let's meet up later and let's talk later in the week. And
you
I
must
got in
have
touch with her like,
you must have made an impression on her in the same way.
see what I mean?
Hmm.
So like 4 days later, I'm like, hey, let's, decide on it. And we just met at the beach and we had a cocktail together and then we went out to dinner. It was so much fun.
Nice.
So we've already met again and have plans to meet again. So, I'm really happy that instead of going, oh, I'm too tired, I can't go to that thing, just
At
go.
my age, I don't go to
Yeah,
those things.
At my age, I traveled all day from southern Sicily. And like, so what? All I got to do is walk down the
See,
street. It's not like I got to take a
you just
taxi or
gave me a great
anything.
idea for another podcast. We'll call it At
Okay,
My
what?
Age. We'll call it At My Age and
That's
just have
fine.
old people whining about what they can't do.
I love it. Yeah, I think we should definitely do that because when I hear people say that are younger than me, I just think, oh my
Oh yeah, they have to be
God.
younger than us too. They have to be younger than us. They have to say at my age and be younger than us. And then
Yes.
those are the
And
featured guests.
I've heard this many times from people younger than me.
Yeah.
Say at
It's
my
so
age.
sad because it's kind of like it's closing you off to so many new experiences because you're just saying, okay,
Okay,
I'm done. This is it.
but how do you change anybody's mind about that? I mean,
Right.
honestly, I was like, to me, okay, so Anthony Bourdain has been popping up in my Facebook feed lately, and it's like,
I
you
don't know how
know,
he
that
does that.
whole
I mean, didn't he pass away years ago? He's
You're
like,
right, but
Anthony
I'm
Bourdain is coming back from the dead. It's insane.
well, you know, Facebook brings people back from the dead. Poor
You
Anthony.
you never you never have to worry about disappearing on Facebook. You'll always come back no matter what.
Yeah,
But
no
sorry,
matter
go on.
what.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Because I'm seeing pictures of him I've never seen,
Mm.
which is always cool because when you see pictures of someone that has passed away and then, you know, and they're famous like he was, and he's a good writer too.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, but I kind of didn't know about him when he was alive. I was just traveling all the time. I didn't watch TV. I didn't watch movies in the US. Like,
Wow.
I I don't know who anybody is in the Oscars. I was looking, I'm like, I'm so glad I don't know who any of these people are because it just seems like a huge waste of time.
Well, they were all
Anyway,
obscure, unpopular movies anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
Now,
it
if
doesn't
you
really matter.
if you're into film, that'd be one thing, but
Well, I used to be, a long time ago. I was even writing screenplays
wow.
and I made a short film and it won an award and I was going to Sundance every year. I mean,
Wow. I
so,
love
you
Sundance.
know, Sundance is fun. You went?
One time. Yeah, I got sent during
Okay.
the highlight when podcasts were on their rise. When I was working at
Yeah.
Yahoo, they go, okay, well, you're the podcast expert, so we want you to do podcasts with famous people. And I'm like,
Oh my
okay, great.
God.
So they flew me out there and they had me set up this whole podcast booth where famous people would come in and I do podcasts with them. And then they decided to get somebody more famous to replace me as the host. So they just
Oh
sent me
my
back.
God. Wait a minute. What year did you do that?
Oh my God, I don't
And the
remember.
reason I'm asking is because I went 5 years in a row and I bet you were there and I didn't know it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised because this was like the
It was
early
sometime
zero.
between 2005 and
Yes.
2007 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I went between 2000 and 2005. Okay. So I missed you.
So, oh no, 2005 was the year podcasting was invented. So I probably missed you by a year or something like that. But that wouldn't that have
Bet
been insane if we like bumped into each other in
that's what
Sundance?
happens at Sundance. You bump into people like you don't know what's going
There's
to
a lot
happen.
of
That's what made
drinking
it fun.
involved. I remember that
There's a
there's
lot of
so
drinking.
much drinking.
Oh my God. All the good stuff happens at the parties.
Well, speaking of drinking, does it help you to
Mm.
get more friends if you're in like 2 glasses deep into Prosecco or
Well, then I get kind of to saying everything I think, which is probably why, you know, I really shouldn't do that. I
people
should
love
be a
you
little bit,
more? People love you even more when you
I
say
don't
things
know.
what you
That's
think.
when I, I think maybe it's better to stick to one or none. Yes. I've gotten to be
But
so
everybody else is
lightweight.
drinking. Everybody else is drinking, aren't they? I mean,
That's
I know
true.
in Greece and other places, in Japan.
That's
Oh my
true.
God,
Everybody else was
so many
drinking.
people were drinking. There was so much drinking
In
going on.
Japan?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was nuts.
I've never been to Japan. I've met so many Japanese people that are so lovely
The
in
drinking
other
culture,
countries in Asia.
the
It's
drinking
pretty
culture is
intense.
insane. Like people have their own
Like
sake
worse
bottles.
than Silicon Valley.
We don't drink here anymore. I don't know if you heard, but
What happened?
apparently we've stopped.
Really?
Americans have stopped drinking. Like the alcohol consumption is like boom, down to hardly anything.
I
So
didn't know. I'm shocked.
yeah. So would you say that it's helpful to have like a drink or two to like loosen things up? Or I mean, is everybody
Well,
else drinking when you're, I mean,
everybody else is drinking. That's true.
yeah.
But
So what if you're
but no
if
one's
you're,
drunk.
yeah, it's something to do with the liquor in that country or something, right? I don't
It's
know what it
lower
is.
alcohol.
Yeah.
It is lower alcohol. So you don't I mean, I think it does help in a way just to sort of, bring that barrier down. But I I was just walking back from the water today and I felt like I was high and I hadn't had any drinks, nothing else.
Right.
Gave up smoking years ago. And I just felt so high and
Mm,
happy. I did a little
mm,
video about it because just jumping in the water and, being happy. See, well, that's another topic we were going to talk about how it's stress free here. I think when you're not stressed, you actually don't even need a glass of wine.
mm.
But if it helps you, great. I mean, there's such a more open culture about that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's just expected that you have an Aperol. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, that everybody kind of has one between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
It's Prosecco and the orange thing, and nobody's
It's
getting
a standard
drunk.
drink. Yeah.
Everybody's having them. I mean, and
Yeah.
so you're just
Oh,
kind of
every single table
involved.
in every single restaurant has an Aperol spritz sitting on it. I
Every
noticed that.
single.
That's still a
So you
thing.
just
It's
go
been
on.
years. It's been years and it's still a thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's still a thing. And so, I feel like being here, I'm immersing myself in the culture. I'm learning from them.
Yeah, well, when in Rome, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm. So do
I'm not
you
I am
find
not the kind of person that's like, "Oh, that's not how we do it," and all this stuff. I never no.
so what do you say to the people who
What?
are like, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna try making some friends here, but I'm probably not gonna see these people again or talk to these people again. Like, what would be your answer to that?
My answer would be, "Okay, but do you think that you might come back here?"
Mm,
Because that's the $1 million question. Because a lot of people do travel in the way that it's like, oh, I'm not going to go to one place again. I'm going
right.
to do a new place. I like to go to new places too, but actually, in a way, it's deeper to go back to a place that you've already been because you know those people, they know you, and you have a real friendship. So, I mean, that's my choice, but I'm not saying everybody should be that way. But if you are the kind of traveler that's like, oh, I'm only going to go there once, well, maybe you don't need to, but you never know if you're going to change that attitude or not. You might feel differently. Like I just read about this woman that ended up marrying her Italian tour guide because
Whoa.
her marriage
She
was
really
falling.
enjoyed going back there.
I think it was on Business Insider, and she, very beautiful woman, and apparently her marriage was falling apart. They've been married a long time. Anyway, they kept in touch over the years, and then she found herself going, "Oh, I think I will go back and see if we, still have some, whatever." And they got married.
Wow. Fantastic.
And, I know, and he's a guide on the Amalfi Coast. And I thought, you know, she didn't come here. She actually came with her husband thinking that they were going to, this is what the story was saying in Business Insider, that
Right.
they were going to repair their marriage. Well, she ended up meeting a hot Italian.
Not like the sub.
I mean, see, that's the thing about travel. It opens like that's why I'm so happy I met Paula. And I think we're gonna be real friends.
Hmm.
And you don't know when that's gonna happen. But if you travel, you give yourself the opportunity to have your tribe find you.
Yeah. You're always opening up that's the big that's any kind of travel at all does that. It changes your environment. And I think people forget how much their a changed environment affects them, right? Just being in
Right.
a different place, surrounded by different people and different things, changes your whole outlook on life. And I think that people don't understand that. They think they can just sit in front of their screens at home and look at a different place, like watch a video of people walking down a street in Thailand and feel like they've experienced it. But it's just not the same. Actually being physically in a different place changes your attitude completely.
Completely. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know either until I started doing more experimental travel beyond the whole luxury thing that I used to do. I mean, that was fun, but it's not really like, see, so I can compare that. When I was doing that, I didn't think about making friends either in these places. But now that I'm not doing that and I'm staying places longer on purpose, of course I want to meet people and make friends and come back and see them again because I like them.
Yeah. It's that human connection that you're trying to build.
And, you don't realize how much it affects you to know people that care about you beyond, oh, you're just, this dollar bill renting my place. I mean,
Mm,
both the owners of this apartment and the owners and the other apartment I rented in Syracuse were such nice people and really connect with me on this level of friendship in a way that I never expected that to happen,
mm,
but it did. and and they're so nice, and I spend time with them as friends,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe that will happen.
So it's almost like you can look at it as just opening up opportunities for your life, like new things for you to do, new experiences to have, and new outlooks to have, right? Because you said somebody could start off with, well, I want to visit this country, this country. I want to do 100 countries. But then you find that of those 100 countries, there's ones that just they suck you back in. You really feel like I'd like to go back there. I'd like to go back there. And then
Yes,
eventually you get to a point where here are places I really love, and I just want to do those over and over again and for longer
exactly.
periods. Yeah.
For longer periods because I want to feel more like I live there. I want to see my friends. I like the food.
Yeah, the quality
Like,
of life is better than what you've had.
absolutely. I
Right. And
mean,
And if you needed to make money, you could still make money because you as a digital nomad, you've already built that framework to make money from wherever you are. So you can live in the best place in the world for you and at the same time support yourself.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
And we didn't have that opportunity as much like 20 years ago. Who was doing that then? So I
exactly.
feel like this innovation that has been created has made it possible for us to make different lifestyle choices and not be so, oh, you've got to be married, you have to have children, even though both of us have done that. We are also, now that our children are grown up, are trying some new things and new ways to live. So that's why when I hear, um, at my age,
Our new podcast, the next one.
well, I think I was going to ask her what her age is, but I remembered a long time ago I did, and I think she's quite a bit younger than me. But anyway, eh, that concept, wow, okay. To me, that sort of says an older way of looking at life because it kind of did used to be that. I mean, you'd reach a certain age and, I don't even think people were traveling. Oh, but listen to this. On my way back from swimming, this like 50-person tour group, and I want to caveat, if you're thinking of going on a big tour group, it's not what you think. But anyway, these people were over 60 and 65 from
Hmm.
what I could tell,
Yeah.
and came on a big bus and everything. But I mean, that whole concept of doing it is you get told where to go, when to go, how to go, all that. I mean, I could not work with that parameter. I'm
Yeah,
walking by myself up a hill from swimming, like I got to be at the most beautiful beach
yeah,
in the world that I know about. Like they didn't see that beach.
yeah. Well, the problem is that
And
when you're in one
so,
of those tours, it's almost like being in an American bubble or an American cocoon. It's like
yeah,
let's take you from your American home, put you in an American plane, and then put you in an American bubble, and then drive your American bubble around the country. And then you never
absolutely.
get a chance to interact with anyone except for,
Yeah,
oh, you have an hour of free time. What am I going to do
yeah,
with an hour of free time? Nothing. Nothing.
yeah.
It's like you don't experience hardly anything. So, I mean, if you
Well,
ask me, that's not
th-
my idea of traveling.
that's what I saw. And I saw this woman that was like trying to get a picture of the coastline and she had to hurry back to the bus because I knew that they were all boarding. And I thought, that poor woman can't take 5 more minutes to compose her shot because she's
Yeah,
going to miss her bus. And I
sad.
thought, sad, but okay. At least they're traveling.
Well,
But I mean,
some people use it as a taster. Like they go, they'll just
okay.
like, but you don't get a real good taste. It's almost like, here's the spoon, I'll wave it under your nose. Oh, sorry, you don't get a
Yeah.
chance to try it.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
fact, even my sister who did a Italy trip pretty recently said, it was so fast that you didn't feel like you could really.
yeah,
And, that's what I want to tell people. It's like, just be prepared. You're going to be spending a lot of money for this more. See, this is another misconception that solo travel costs so much. It actually costs a lot less than going on
yeah,
these big group things.
yeah.
And so you're going to have a more deep dive into the culture
Hmm.
and it's going to be safe. I mean, we're talking a safe place. I mean, okay, I've been in a lot more sketchy places.
All
I
right. Well,
will.
unfortunately, we got to wrap up for today. But do you have, well, I'll add that to the list for future talks. I think we'll do that next week, maybe.
Okay.
Any final thoughts on making friends when you're traveling?
Put yourself out there, even if you don't feel like it, just show up. Something good will happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. So thank you so much. This has been great. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Enjoy.
Absolutely. Okay. You too.
Bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad